The following is a podcast conversation with Justin Bgoni, a man whose name carries real weight in Zimbabwe business landscape. Justin is the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, a chartered accountant with more than 24 years of international experience spanning the financial and public sectors. His journey has taken him from McKinsey and Company, where he has worked as a management consultant, to the New Zealand Stock Exchange, where he served as Chief Financial Officer, and now at the heart of Zimbabwe's capital markets. He also chairs the Capital Markets Association of Zimbabwe and sits on several boards shaping the future of investment and innovation in the region. In this episode, Justin and I dive deep into what it takes to build trust, transparency, and resilience in emerging markets, and how visionary leadership can redefine a nation's financial future. If you enjoy this quality conversation that challenges assumptions and spotlight the people shaping Africa's economic story, this one is for you. Let's get into it, but don't forget to subscribe and make sure you watch the conversation to the end. Thank you again. Enjoy. Thanks for joining me, Justin. I'm very glad to eventually connect with you virtually. When I came to Zimbabwe, I was really looking forward to meeting you in person, but nonetheless,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay. No, it's a pleasure.
Yes. Now, for our viewers, I just want to share how we connected with Justin. Thank you so much for being so open and transparent. So I
Okay.
was checking on X and I follow you regularly. And then I was like, let me take my shot because he's a high profile person. So let me just take my shot. And I said, look, can I please have a conversation with you inbox? And he said, sure. I was pleasantly surprised. And then I told
Okay.
him that I would like to have a conversation. So
Mhm.
basically, as a background, I'm Isaac Jonas and I'm the CEO at Streetwise Economics. I'm a retail trader, mostly in the
Okay.
US and Canadian market. I was born in
Okay.
Zimbabwe and then now I'm
Okay.
based in Canada. So what I
Okay.
do is I just share my experiences, and I see that a lot of my audience, they don't know a lot about what's happening in the capital
Okay.
markets, particularly in Zimbabwe. So I thought
Okay.
you would be the best person, a leader who
Okay.
has years of experience and who is currently at the helm of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the group CEO. So now, maybe why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how
Okay.
you became the group CEO?
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think a bit of background. I'm a trained accountant. So I'm a chartered accountant by profession.
Yes.
So I think whenever I always think of myself, I always think of myself as an accountant. That's what I was trained to do. I've worked in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and New Zealand.
Yes.
So I've done quite a bit. When I came back to Zimbabwe to become the CEO of the stock exchange, I'd been out of the country for almost 19, 20 years
Wow.
when I came back, yes. And for my sins, I was once CFO of the New Zealand Stock Exchange.
Wow.
That's when I got exposed to the stock exchange business. So then they approached me when I was in New Zealand to say, would you consider coming back? And I thought about it. Then I said to myself, when you're in diaspora, and I've been in diaspora for a long time, you
Yes.
complain very much. Why don't they sort things at home? Why don't they get these things done? And
Yes.
I said to myself, okay, why don't you be the one that goes back and try to make this work?
Wow.
That's how I came back to be the CEO of the stock exchange. So I came
Well,
and I said, okay, I know a bit about the stock market. I know a little bit about business. I know a little bit about management. So let me give back what I know to the country. That's the main reason why I came back.
wow, that's remarkable. And like being at the helm, even McKinsey is a big league
Yeah,
stuff. So
so that's the main reason why I came back. See what I can do to contribute to my country. I think after this, I think I can. I always say I think I can die peacefully to say I tried.
well,
I tried. I tried.
wow,
Yeah.
that's great. Now, so tell me a little bit, Justin, about your role.
Okay.
Because I understand the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and Victoria Stock Exchange. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because it's kind of like a Wall Street jargon,
Okay.
which is kind of like detached from my conversations with people.
Okay. All right. So I think the way I always think about this, I always think about it in terms of country development.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that you need to do to develop a country, but one of them is having a good capital market. Right?
Okay.
The way you think about a capital market is that it is the conduit between people who want to save and people who want to use that money to grow the country. So if you do it well, you can use the capital markets to grow your economy. That's what most people do. And the capital that you get there on the stock exchange tends to be long term and tend to be one that is willing to take risk. So that's the only way you can grow Excel. And if you think about it, why the stock exchange started in Zimbabwe or Rhodesia many years ago was because there were people who thought that there was a lot of potential in Zimbabwe, especially in terms of mining, and they were willing to invest. So that's the background why this is important. The second part is the issue of investment. Generally, in most countries, is that you have to have a portion of your wealth on the stock market. And most people have got a portion of their wealth on the stock market, whether they like it or not, especially through the pension funds, through NASA. So there's always a part of you that is on the stock market. That's why I find it fascinating because people think it's not important, but it's also important. Then the last part is that a lot of the big established companies in Zimbabwe, whose people products that they use are on the stock market, Econet.
Yes.
Your phone, everything, Delta, your drink and everything, InScore, your food. And so a lot of the products that you use, the companies are listed on the stock market. So whether you like it or not, the stock market affects you, but people don't understand how it affects them, but it does affect them. So I think that's where I think. So the role is that when I joined, there was just the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and we, through government, we wanted to do the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange as a way to develop an international financial center in Zimbabwe, which is a big thing altogether. An international financial center is also something that is big and important in the country, but let me not confuse the viewers about it. But that was the thinking why we did the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. So I'm head of the holding company that is both of them, the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. And the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange is a hard currency denominated exchange. The Zimbabwe Stock Exchange is a ZiG or local currency denominated exchange. That's the difference.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I was just checking on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, and I noticed that the value of the stock exchange is about 1.8 billion. And of course, it fluctuates with prices of those listed companies. And I found it very interesting because a billion is a lot of money, right?
Yes, yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially given our GDP. Now, can you tell us, is it easy for me as an investor? Yes, of course, I'm a Zimbabwean, but I am also a Canadian. So is it easy for me to invest my money there? Because some people might have fears that will I be able to withdraw the money? Can you explain
Okay.
a little bit more about that?
Okay. Yeah, I'm coming from a lunch meeting. There's a company where foreigners come in to invest a lot in Zimbabwe. So if you sell your shares on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, you get your money after 2 days, T+2. I think it could be better. It could be better.
Yeah.
And you get your money overseas plus T+4. So in 4 days, you get your money in any bank account in the world.
And minus the taxes and stuff.
It is tax and everything. So it's very easy for you in Canada, if you invest in the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange and you sell in 4 days, you get your money. It could be better. But all I'm trying to say is that,
Yes.
you know why I know it's working? You
Yes.
know why I know it's working? Because I know my people.
Yes.
If it wasn't working, you would hear complaints.
Yes.
If you don't hear complaints, it's working.
Yes.
Bad news, what do you think happens if it's bad news? It travels, huh?
Yeah, very fast. Very fast. And
Very fast.
I will tell you a story. When I came to Zimbabwe, I had a chance to interview Lawrence Rimai, who is a real estate guy. And one of the things that he told me, he was like, yes, it is as long as you can prove that your money came from abroad and it was invested here, as long as you go through the proper Arab regulations. He said he has successfully done 8 transactions in the real estate sector, and the foreign investors, they were able to get their money.
Okay, but it's even better on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. The approval that we have from the Reserve Bank is that you don't need Reserve Bank approval. As soon as the money hits your account, you can take it out.
Oh, okay.
You don't even have to seek Reserve Bank approval. No. As soon as it hits your account, you can take it out.
This is very interesting because for me as a Canadian investor and trader, what I do is I invest in the US and I trade also mostly. And as soon as I hit sell and That's it. And then I just withdraw the money. That means it's linked to my account. So I'm glad that those kind of improvements have been
Okay.
done. Now,
Okay.
I know your role involves oversight. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you are doing to make sure that the transaction fees are actually better? Because I know the fees can take a big chunk. I was reading Warren Buffett's famous letter of 1999, and he was talking
Okay.
about then that about almost 100 billion goes between fees like bid ask. So can you
Okay.
tell us a little bit more about that and how you are doing to ensure that the fees are better?
Okay. Okay. So we maybe undersell this.
Yes.
On the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, your profit that you make on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange is there's no tax. So there's no capital against tax on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange.
What?
And yes, there isn't. And I don't know if people know.
I didn't
I don't
know.
think we say that. You didn't know, huh? No, there's no tax. You don't have to. And if you think about it, forget fees. The tax is a big chunk of what takes your money.
Yes.
Then if you look at the transactional fees on the Victoria Falls compared to ZSC, it's more, half or less than half. So we've done a lot of work on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange to reduce the fees. We could always do better, but I think we are competitive now, much more competitive. And we keep on arguing with the government to make it even more competitive. But to be fair, by having no tax on your profit, I think that helps a big chunk of it. So I think we're fairly competitive, but we always try. The biggest cost is the broker's fee.
Mhm.
Always, we've made it lower, but if you are smart, you can always negotiate with your broker. Nothing stops you from talking to your broker to say, "Can I have lower fees?" You can always have lower fees. So, yeah, that's the best you can do.
That's very interesting. And I know I trade mostly in the US, like in the New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq, and they have
Okay.
longer trading hours. I was observing on your platform, like Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. I noticed that the hours is like 9:30 to 1 p.m. So it's shorter. Is there a reason for that? Here it's like I'm based in Pacific Standard Time, so 6:30 a.m. to
Uh,
1 o'clock. So it's longer time.
okay. It's a fair point. The reason why you can do it better on the New York Stock Exchange is that the market is integrated. So a lot of things. So there's a proper integration between the exchange, the brokers, and the custodian banks. So the messaging that happens is automated. So it's something that we are working on to get it more automated. So if you get it automated, then you do that. So we are going through a phase now where we are changing our trading system. So once we change our trading system from next year going forward, we're going to work to integrate the market. You get resistance for integrating the market. It's a new concept.
Yes.
We have people fearing about their jobs, fearing about their technology, because everyone has to upgrade their technology.
Okay.
Because now it's messaging. It's less what you're getting an email or whatever, but it's messaging. So it will take us probably a year or a bit more to get where we want to be. And it's embarrassing. We are behind other countries on this. I was talking to my counterpart in Rwanda. He was telling me just they're on T+2. He said, if you wanted instant settlement, we can do it. Because they're integrated. So you need integration, you need technology. And that's what is missing. Once you do that and you have that integration, then you can have longer hours.
Okay.
Because now you need less time at the end of the day to settle your trades. The reason why you have from 9 to 1:30 is because you then need 2-3 hours afterwards to set your trades. So if it was automated, you can go up to 4 p.m., then you need like 30 minutes to an hour to set your trades. And as you get better and better at it, you can even have longer hours because there's less human input. So
Okay.
it's all automation. You gotta get the technology. And if you don't get the technology right, you're wasting it. You're wasting your time. So we have a path. We have a path that we have to get where we want to go. And we'll get there. Definitely we'll get there.
Oh, that's encouraging. And I noticed in terms of the options market, like the derivatives market, because I trade options, I would say most of the time, and they are very risky. I would say that
Yeah.
to those people who want to trade. And is it also developed like the market there? Because one thing that I've also been struggling with is a little money that I just wanted to test to invest in Zimbabwe. But what happened was that the time difference is too much. So I think when you do longer hours, then it's gonna help because
Yeah.
now I had to
Yeah.
wake up at 5:30 to have a conversation with you. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And
Okay.
so is the option market like quite efficient
Okay.
as well?
Okay. All right. So You reminded me when I was at school. So I did my master's a few years ago,
Yeah.
and there was a course on derivatives, and I remember the course very well. And I didn't thought about coming back to Zimbabwe, but I was seeing, no, there's no derivative market in Zimbabwe. Why not? So there are a few things that you need to make sure that there's a good derivative market, which at the moment are not there. So the first one is your spot market has to be very liquid. Because if your spot market is not very liquid, someone can game it. So let's say I know you have an option where you are long on something. If I know your position, if the market is not liquid, I can easily take it against you. And if you understand, the option market is easier. If you are thinking about the futures market, for example, you are doing margin calling every time. So let's say you get like a 30-day contract. What kills you most of the time is the margin call. So if your spot market is not very liquid, I can kill you before the 30 days because I know that you need to put in margin. So I can just kill you. I can squeeze you. So the biggest problem that we have to have a proper derivative market is the liquidity in the spot market. That's number one. The second problem that you have is knowledge. So there's what people see on the option market, which is what you see. But behind it, there's a lot of maths. There's like serious maths about it. The Black-Scholes model, all that. So you need skills of people that understand all that. And if you don't have the skills, you can get it very wrong. And at the moment in Zimbabwe, those skills are not there. Then the third aspect that you need is you need market makers. So you need people who are willing to provide the liquidity. So you need someone with a strong balance sheet. You need to look at the spot market. You need someone who understands this thing, and they have to have a strong balance sheet. Not there yet. Not there yet. Not. What I always thought the futures market that could work in Zimbabwe is to piggy bank on another liquid market. So, for example, have a futures market or derivative market of gold in Zimbabwe, and you're piggy banking on another market, let's say in Hong Kong or in Dubai, that you're piggy banking on. So it's not really your spot market that you're selling another spot market. That could work, yes. But you need a liquid spot market. Otherwise, you get squeezed. Look, we are not there yet. No.
Okay, that's very interesting because I know when at some point I wanted to do like futures to trade futures, and the process that I had to go through, like rigorous, like know your customer, right? They want to know your income and everything. And also because there's leverage aspect, they really want to know if you are experienced because it can easily blow out of proportion. So I definitely understand. I know as a Zimbabwean born citizen, a lot of people like have this perception about the country. I was there for 3 weeks. I was pleasantly impressed with how the economy like has grown. And of course there are challenges. Now, as Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, what can you say you are doing to ensure transparent and make sure that that perception is not there for potential investors?
All right. So in terms of us as an institution, we benchmark ourselves against other institutions in Africa, not the world, but Africa, as good as anyone else. We don't have failed trades. So if you buy our shares on our market, you get your shares. If you sell, you get your money. You don't have to pay anyone and you don't have to talk to anyone. Everything is automated and works well. I think in terms of that perception of an market working, we are very comfortable to give people comfort on it. What tends to worry people is the issue of the macroeconomic environment. Can I buy out? Can I get will the law change? What about it? So all those things that are macro is what people worry about. That has worked in the past few years. There's been market change. In terms of currency availability, US dollar is freely available in Zimbabwe. If you sell, you get your money. That has not been a problem at all. And the government we've worked closer with the government in terms of making sure that the environment around the exchange is good. And we think we're relatively there. Zimbabwe is not as rich as people say it is. We are better than a lot of countries, but what happens is, someone once told me, if you have a head injury, you tend to remember it well. We can't run away from the fact that there are people who have lost money in the past. So I don't want to lie about it, but things are much better and it's worth a try. So for example, the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, on average, the index is up 50% this year.
Wow.
So year to date, it's up 50%. And there are some counters which are up 300%. gold related.
In US dollar terms.
This is US dollar terms. So there are people who have made US dollar returns on the market. And I'm not including dividends. If you include dividends, some are 60, 70% on average. So there are people who have made real money in Zimbabwe. And so that's what I can say.
Yeah.
I always say, look, if you try it out with money that you will not necessarily miss, and see what happens. But I can safely say, in terms of our institution, I'm very comfortable, is that you will settle 100%. You buy, you sell, you get your money. I'm also comfortable that if you buy and the money hits your account, you can take it out. That I'm comfortable about. So I think it's worth a try. And people have made money. The Zimbabwean risk has been oversold. So if you look at other countries, without mentioning them, because some of them are my friends, it's difficult to get money out.
Yes.
For example, it's difficult to get money out of Malawi. It's difficult. There was a time when it was difficult to get money out of Nigeria. There was a time when it was difficult to get money out of Egypt. But somehow they survived that more than us. And I've always asked myself, why is that perception? And I always think that when we were at our lowest, when there was hyperinflation, I think that's where most of the damage was done. And our reputation as a country went to the trains during the hyperinflation. No, there was $1 trillion bank account, not all those things. I think that's the time we really got a hammering. But of late, we've become much and much, much better. If you look at our GDP or our GDP growth for 2025, the Zimbabwean economy will be one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing, in Southern Africa. I think the competition is with Zambia. I think we might be grow faster than Zambia, but I think we'll see. One of the fastest growing in Southern Africa. It's very clear. And if you look at the number, 55 billion, whatever, which is generally accepted, it's much higher than countries in Southern Africa. But somehow it's getting that perception out. That is different. It's one of the struggles.
I know, right? And I know, like, for me, the perception that I had before I landed is different from what I saw, right? And maybe I'm biased because I'm a Zimbabwean citizen as well. Now, I know there are a lot of people, some of my audience here in North America and some in the UK, you've been traveling and telling people more about what's really happening at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Can you tell us if there are any exciting projects or exciting things that viewers should look up to?
Okay. So there are three things that we have in mind that are exciting. So the first one involves the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. We want to be very good at junior mining. So we want to enable mining companies, smaller ones, to come and raise money to do exploration. So the problem that you have with Zimbabwe is that a lot of mining that happens is surface related. So people see that there's a gold rock, then they come and dig with their shovels and everything. But what they are missing is that a few kilometers down where they are, there's much, much more gold. And what you need money to do the exploration, where someone drills holes and everything. You win and you lose some. But if you get it right, the money that you make on the good one normally covers what you do on the bad one. And that part of raising money, Africa has not been good at it. There are two places. There used to be three places, but now I can safely say two places which are good at that. Canada is good at it. Australia is good at it. So we want to be one of the places in Africa that is very good at it, junior mining. So if people want to take more risks in terms of mining, they'll be able to do that. So that's the first one. Then the second one is that more on the ZSC side is want to do a small, what I don't like calling a small medium enterprise exchange. I like calling it an entrepreneurial exchange. An exchange where entrepreneurs can come and raise money in a different way. So they can come and raise money and not necessarily list, or they can come and raise money and list. And the rules are more different. They are a little bit more relaxed. And the way we're going to do it is we will say that the more you comply with our rules, the more money you can raise. So if you want to raise 50,000, you have to comply with fewer rules. If you want to raise 200,000, you comply with more rules. And if you want to raise $1 million, you comply with more rules. That's how the way we are thinking about it. And we think that's going to be exciting. Then the third part is related to changing the issue on digital assets. So we expect next year to be able to do digital assets on our platform and all those things. Because Zimbabwe at the moment, the rules don't allow that. The legislation don't allow that. So I think those three things that are exciting. I think as far as people in North America is concerned, that one might not be more exciting for them. I think that's more for people in Zimbabwe. But I think in terms of if you really want to come into mining and you want to be on the riskier side, you can come and do a claim here by yourself. It's very difficult in North America. Or you can partner with someone on our platform who's doing junior mining and you can work with them on the claim. I think that's important. Then also, if you want entrepreneurial companies in Zimbabwe that are looking to raise money and you want to partner with them, you can do that. So I think for us, those are mainly the two that are exciting going forward.
That's fantastic. As we wrap up, I know you're a very busy person and I'm very honored for the privilege of your time. I wanted to ask you, because you have been in this business for so long, if someone wants to start investing, I know it's not a get rich quick scheme. What can you say people should do and should not do from your experience? Because I know you extensively try to educate people. And a lot of people that I coach, they think it's mostly very easy to make money. And I wish.
Okay, all right. So the first thing that I always say is start with money that you don't need immediately. Because if you start with the money that you need immediately, you're bound to sell when you shouldn't sell.
Yes.
So I think that's what I said. And the second thing that I've always said is diversify.
Yes.
Don't put your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
Just to diversify. So like as much as possible, spread your wealth across several counters. That helps a lot. Then the third one is try to do things that you understand a little bit where you can, things that you believe in, to say, look, I believe in this. Let me do that. I think those three tend to work. There's a lot of free advice that's available. So a lot of our brokers and everything, they publish things. They publish recommendation. They will recommend to say this share buy, this share sell, this one hold. So you can take advantage of that analysis. But it's not a get rich quick scheme. The VFX last year was up about 6%. This year is up 50%. The person who won was the person who was patient.
Yes.
Was patient last year, and now they're going to get advantage of this year. So next year, instead of 50%, maybe it will be up 3%. But the person who stays in the long run tends to win.
And you have exchange traded funds, right, as well? For those who
so we have them on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, not yet on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, because the number of counters is not there yet. We expect to be about 20 counters by end of the year. So I think when we reach about 30, that's when ETFs will work. What I've noticed about ETFs, even on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange or also in Africa in general, they are a bit not very good in tracking the underlying shares.
Okay.
And it's a matter of sophistication in terms of your market.
Okay.
So in the States, they are very good at it. If it doesn't track the underlying portfolio, people take advantage and make money very quickly. Yes. So sometimes tracking is not as good as I want it to be, which destroys the whole point about ETFs, because it should track.
Okay.
And if it doesn't track, someone will take advantage of it to make it track.
Yes.
So, and there are various ways that they do it. So I'm still a little bit skeptical to say ETFs, is it the right thing to do, given that we're not yet sophisticated enough? I think we'll get there. I still think it's good, but it's not the same advantage that you tend to get in the West in terms of trading.
Yeah. I just thought maybe there might be something that I did not ask that you may want to share with the audience. But I thought also like about liquidity. Is the market like particularly the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange that liquid? Because I know that's another big thing that I consider when I'm doing my checklist of potential trades.
Okay. So in my mind, there are different status of liquidity. So the best exchanges in the world, developed ones, tend to be very liquid. Then there's the middle ones in Asia, right? Then the African ones, they tend to be on the lower side in terms of liquidity. It's not as high. But for most retail investors, their portfolio is never that big enough for it to affect the market. So normally for them, the liquidity works. If you're a person who are selling 1,000 shares, 2,000 shares, it's liquid enough. It's not liquid enough, for example, if you want to sell 1 million shares, that's when you tend to struggle in a market like ours. But for most retail investors, that shouldn't be a problem. No, that's not a problem. You should be able to sell easily. They can be in and out. Liquidity is one of the things that we're always trying to get better at. We're always working hard. And we tend to find that over time, we're getting better. Our liquidity ratios are getting better over time. When we're a new exchange, there were times when it was very difficult, but we are happy where we are going at the moment. But we are not as liquid as New York Stock Exchange, for example. No, not. But for most small retail investors, that shouldn't be a problem. It's easy.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Anything you want to share with the audience?
No, I think I told you our plans. So
yeah.
that's wanted to share what plans are. Yes.
So thank you so much. And I also say that Justin is also on X. And if you want to also see some of the progress, he's active on X as well. So thank you so much for the privilege of your time. Yes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching this incredible conversation with Justin Bgoni, CEO of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I hope you found his insights on investing and trading in African markets as valuable as I did. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more in-depth conversations about investing, trading, and market opportunities around the world, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your subscription really helps support what we do here and allows us to bring you more quality discussions with industry leaders and experts who are shaping the future of capital markets. And if you're looking to take your investing and trading skills to the next level, I'd love to invite you to visit www.streetwiseeconomics.com. There, you can learn more about our coaching programs where we work together on developing your investment strategies and trading techniques. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, we're here to help you navigate the markets with confidence. Remember, investing is a journey, not a destination. Start with what you can afford, diversify your portfolio, and always keep learning. Thank you again for being part of our community, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, trade wisely and invest smart.